Alright, guys, I am back. I am back from New Mexico. And I had planned to do another Miitopia episode when I got back. First thing I planned to record was another Miitopia episode. And I am holding true to that. Because I like to play this game when I have a lot to talk about with you guys, so yeah. Not gonna lie, I was definitely looking forward to this all during my vacation. I enjoyed my vacation, but at the same time, I'm a bit of a homebody, so I always look forward to getting back home. And I was looking forward to recording this and talking about my vacation and just other stuff with you guys. So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be doing for this video. I'll talk about how my vacation went, then I'll talk about some other stuff with you guys as well. But yeah, my vacation was pretty good. As I mentioned, like leading up to my vacation, I did go to Ruidoso, New Mexico. Well, we technically stayed in a place called Alto, New Mexico, but we went to Ruidoso to do stuff. We stayed in a cabin, and it had 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, but my dad did not like the bed he was staying in the first night, so he slept in the living room for the second and third night, but I actually got to have the room that had the bathroom connected. That way, when I did, have to go to the bathroom or if I wanted to take a shower, I wasn't disrupting my dad. Because he, like I said, he did sleep in the living room for the second and third night we spent. There was also an upstairs. I think my brother hung up there, but, I didn't really spend too much time up there. All I did was went up to check it out, but I spent the majority of, every other of my time in the cabin downstairs. I thought that there was going to be the master bedroom downstairs and then the 2 bedrooms upstairs, but no, it was just a living area in the upstairs area and all the bedrooms were downstairs. Green Ethan, I took some pictures for my vacation and I sent them in the vacation server that I recently made. You can go over there too and check out like the pictures I took. My dad also took some pictures of me yesterday, but I'm trying to get him to send them to me, but he hasn't gone around to it yet. But yeah. Ruidoso is a cozy place. Like, I like the rustic, woodsy vibe that Ruidoso had and that, the cabin we stayed in had. We also ate breakfast at this really delicious restaurant. I think it's called Log Cabin Restaurant. We ate there this past Thursday, yesterday, and even today on our way home, we actually decided to eat there. after packing up, but before like heading home. Man, the breakfast that restaurant has is so freaking delicious. I ate bacon, eggs, and hash browns, and then yesterday my brother let me have one of his pieces of toast. But yeah, that place is delicious. Their hash browns especially. Oh my goodness. I was in Maple Mornings heaven. Let's just say that. Eating at that restaurant reminds me of Maple Mornings in the Papa Louie games. We didn't really do a whole lot when we, during like the day we got there, because we had to wait to check in. Because, we couldn't check in until the afternoon, so. Yeah. My dad did get Pizza Hut, though. Luckily, they did have french fries like our local Pizza Hut, but even my dad noticed it. It just wasn't as good as, the Pizza Hut we have here at home. But then the day before yesterday, we went to the casino. We didn't really win any money, but it was still fun doing some gambling and playing around with the slot machine. And then after that, we went and ate dinner at the food court. My dad ate at I forgot what it was called, but there was a taco restaurant. And then I had a burger and fries from Wahlburgers. And then yesterday, we went to this Billy the Kid place, and that's where my dad took some pictures of me. I'll send them into the server, the vacation highlight channel. But first, I'll have to get my dad to send them to me. Send them to me. Then we went to like there was this area, and then there were these horse statues. We walked around that area and we took some pictures. And then we went to a shop where my dad and my grandma, we they got stuff for their house. Like, they got some decorations for their house. My dad got sunflower decorations. Why? Because they reminded him of Elden Ring. Again? You know that game he loves so freaking much? Yeah, apparently there's sunflowers in that game, and then so he saw sunflower decorations at that shop, and he bought them for that reason. He also bought a... It's hard to describe, but like it has like 2 shotguns on it, and then they make a cross. And then there's a Lone Star symbol on it, and then it has a sign that says, "We don't dial 911." I remember sending it into the server, and Purple Ethan said that was a very Texan decoration. Because we were in New Mexico, but for some reason they did have some Lone Star / Texan like stuff as well. Because New Mexico and Texas do border each other. I live pretty out west of Texas, and then New Mexico borders Texas to the west, so we only had to drive, 5 hours to get there, and then another 5 hours to get back to, my house. Ooh, nice. Oh my god. Yes, okay, save spot. I know. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. Yes, I know. Okay, I know. Shh. Okay! Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, my dad also got a bear. A Dallas Cowboys bear that we put in the sunroom. It used to be just a patio area in our backyard, but we changed it into like a sunroom-like area. I told you guys about all that, how it took forever to finally get the screen. Because we fixed, or my dad and my grandma and my brother fixed up that area starting in like July of last year, but we didn't get the screen set up until November. At first, we got a screen, but it didn't fit, so they had to order another screen. But we finally got that done. And yeah, it was raining really hard while we were at the shop, so we literally had to wait just for them to, my dad and my grandma, to get the stuff loaded up into their, or into my dad's truck. Because we had to drop off some of the decorations at my grandmother's, on our way back from New Mexico. Because I think the reason was because you know, they had just a car. They didn't have like a truck, you know, that had like a back area where they can just load stuff. So, I think that was the reason why they put it in my dad's truck instead. Yeah, we didn't get to do as much as planned because we found out, well, number one, a lot of stuff got shut down because of various factors. The pandemic, and then there were like some forest fires back in 2024. And then last summer we had, or you know, Ruidosa had really bad rainfall and like really bad flooding. We were actually, you know, planning on going up there in 2024 and 2025, but due to the forest fires in 2024 and the flooding in 2025, you know, we couldn't. Plus, my dad had a really bad hip back in 2024, and then, like, in summer of last year, he was still recovering from his surgery. So that was another factor as to why we ended up not going last year or the year before. But we finally went this time, or you know, this year, because you know, I've talked about it with you guys these past few weeks, but we were planning on going since 2021, but due to certain factors, it just didn't work out until this summer finally. No, oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was asking me if I wanted to quit. I was like, no, I just started. Kind of looks like Whippa with some green hair dye. But yeah. And then the other factor as to why we couldn't do as much is because we went during the week. You know, we went to New Mexico on Wednesday, and then we came back today, which was Saturday. And then there's a lot of stuff that is only open during the weekends, which is kind of stupid. Because yes, you know, people do have work during the week, and then you know, some people might even be taking summer classes in college, and then you know, summer school, you know. But you know, still, like, some people do take off during the week to go on vacations, and you know, that's something, you know, those recreational areas need to take into consideration. You know, weekends are not the only time that are gonna have tourists. For example, my dad, you know, he took last week off. He also took, not, you know, not just Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but he took the whole work week off. Cause on Monday we were running errands together to help to get, you know, the prepare for the trip. Like getting, like, we had to go and he had to get his oil changed out. And then we went to Market Street and bought some stuff. Like, mainly just, like, drinks for the trip. And then, Tuesday we were packing up for the trip and whatnot. Ooh, yes. So yeah, that is something, places do need to take into consideration. Weekends are not the only time people are going to be having fun or taking vacations. My dad does want to try to go up there in like another year or two. We might skip, next year because my brother may be getting started with work. And when you first start out with like a job, you want to try to have perfect attendance, or at least as good as you can. You don't want to have to. You don't want to miss work unless you absolutely have to. Like if you're like really sick, then that would be an excuse. But when you're first starting out, you know, I don't think your bosses are gonna really appreciate you taking off of work just to go on a trip. You got to build up like vacation time, and then like after it's been like a year or so, then you can take like a week, once in a while off for like vacation and vacations and stuff. According to what my dad has told my brother and I. So yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. I just started. I still have a lot to talk about. Okay, good. Oh yes. Now this is what I like. If you're gonna buy extra bananas, do it in that way, not through wrong purchases. And yeah, I'm definitely on board with like going back to Riadosa. Because if we do go like on a weekend, or like if like a weekend overlaps with falls somewhere into like the our next trip over to New Mexico, or Riadosa, New Mexico, then we'll have more stuff available. Because I'm in like I am a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and that's the stuff we missed out on due to like it not being open during like the week. I want to go zip lining next time, or go in a go kart. You can ask my dad and my grandma. They'll tell you, yeah, she's an adrenaline, like she loves adrenaline activities. Ooh, yes, main character gets the staff or gets the weapon. And I don't really, I rather Ollie get it than me because I'm gonna be a princess. Ollie is gonna stay a cleric. I'm not always gonna be a mage. But yeah, my dad did tell me and my brother that next time we go, we're gonna try to go on a Friday and leave on a Tuesday. So that will give us an extra day that, that we compared to what we did this time just now. Cuz we went Wednesday and then we came back today, which today is Saturday. And that was only 3 days. Next time we're going to aim for an extra day. We were also gonna, my dad also said we were gonna drive up the mountain because we were planning on doing that, but we didn't get to this time. Probably because, the stuff, certain activities up there, were closed. So, yeah. Next time we go up there, we're gonna be driving up a mountain. And hopefully we can go ziplining and all that good stuff. And what messed me up during the trip is the freaking time zone difference. It I don't know. It made the time go by kind of slow cuz I'm used to central time, but as a lot of you know, New Mexico runs on the mountain time, which is an hour behind the central time, which is, central's my time zone. So, for example, it was when it was 3 p.m., my mind and my body thought it was actually 4 p.m. All right, what do you guys want? I'm I'm trying to get me leveled up with King Ollie. All right, yeah. What's my relationship with King Ollie like? Oh yeah. All right. Okay, good. Fishing spot. Cause the cinema and cafe tickets will crash the game, but we have some fishing spot tickets, so we can do that. And I think I still have the mod. Here, let's see. Yep. So I think it'll go up 20 levels. So we're gonna be level 20. Or level 21. Show off. Warning. Concern. Praise. Alright. That's what I like to see. Alright. But yeah, and I hope we go back to that restaurant for breakfast again like we did during this stay. Because me and my dad and probably my brother too, to an extent, we enjoyed the hell out of the log cabin. That's definitely something I hope we go back to if we do go back into New Mexico in the future. Another thing that freaked me out about New Mexico is the sun the sun rises a lot earlier than here in my hometown. Like in New Mexico, the sun already starts to come up at like 5:45 in the morning, but here in my hometown, it doesn't come up until like 6 a.m. ish. Because we are in summer, so naturally sunrises are going to be a lot earlier and sunsets are going to be a lot later, but compared to my hometown, yeah, it feels like, Rio Doce, New Mexico sunrises are a lot earlier compared to my hometown. My dad also suggested that we go up there during the wintertime. Now, I'm not really a cold a cold person, I feel like if we went up there in the winter, it would be too freaking cold for me. And then there would be like snow. We couldn't like they want to see the snow, or my dad wants to see the snow, but I feel like we would just be snowed in. Like it would be too cold. So I'm not really wanting to go up there in a winter time, but I'm completely fine with going up there, like, in the summertime. Because, there's some places I would rather go during the summer, but there's places I would rather go, like, in the winter. For example, Rio Doce, New Mexico, to me, that's a summer vacation spot. And on the other hand, like, a place that's usually hot, like Houston, for example, that's where my grandma and my grandfather on my mom's side of the family lives. Due to how hot it gets over there, for to me, like Houston is a winter vacation spot, and then like I said, Riadosa, New Mexico is more of a summer vacation spot. Oh, nice. I don't think Pincher really works real well when you're a mage, but it's something, I guess. Oh, 5, that's not too bad. I gotta remember to use lightning when I have dealing with multiple enemies. Same with Ashton, he just unlocked it. Speak of the lightning. We also had some interesting discussions about the future during our trip. My dad and my brother talked about starting some businesses, or at least a business, later on down the road. They're actually looking at renting, well, not renting, but buying a cabin out in Ruidoso, New Mexico, and then they plan on renting it out too. You know, tenants and like tourists and all that good stuff. And then, like, they said they're gonna try to include me in the business. Now, I did bring this up to my dad, but you know, but I will be starting like a I talked about this been talking about this with a while with you guys, but I am gonna be in my program hopefully pretty soon, like later this year or sometime next year is probably when I'll start going. And I did bring that up to my dad because I don't want, a possible business to sacrifice my time at the program because this is really important to me. I want to make local friends and I want to go out and be with my peers, people in my age group, people I can relate to. My dad told me that the program is temporary, but. And yeah, like, it's highly unlikely that I'm literally gonna go for the rest of my life, but I do want this to be at least a long-term thing, and at the very least, I want to, like, go for a few years. But I don't want this business or the possibility of, like, the business to affect that or to make me stop going. I don't mind being included, but I just don't want to sacrifice something that could really help me in the long run. Alright, we'll give it to Ashton since he's gonna keep the mage job. Alright, very nice. So, yeah. And, you know, my dad knows this too, but, you know, he wants to find ways to help me make money. Now, I will be receiving Social Security, but, you know, Social Security alone is not gonna be enough to live on. So I'm gonna need other things to help supplement that. You know, supplement my income. And, like, it's been a while since I've brought this up to my dad. Purple, or not purple, well, probably him too, but Green Ethan. You know the context, but I'm not gonna get into it right now. But I did lie to my dad about not wanting to be an author anymore. And I haven't really brought it up since, because I wanted my dad to get off my back about a certain thing. Good. So yeah, like I said, I didn't bring this up, but that is something else that I am gonna try to do as well. I do want to be an author. I know I'm not gonna. I don't expect to make a whole bunch of money. Like, you know, decent money, you know, down the road. Yes, I do hope to at least get to that point, but I don't expect to make a whole bunch of money like when I first start out. I'm gonna need to build up an audience. I'm gonna need to build up a reputation. I'm gonna need to put more and more books out. Because, you know, the more books I do have published and released, you know, the more money I'll make. Because I'm not just making money off of one book, but you know, I'm making money off of multiple books. And I do want to try to write about, like, you know, various topics as well that I relate to. And, you know, the more topics I do write about, the wider my audience will be. Mm. You know, this is something I have to remind myself. And it's something Purple Ethan struggles with, but, you know, he wants to get a wide audience right away, you know, but for him it's not, you know, readers, you know, it's viewers, because he wants to stream on Twitch, but since he's only first starting out and he doesn't maintain a regular schedule, you know, he's not going to get a whole bunch of viewers. Because, you know, his mom is on his ass a lot. I don't think she doesn't want him, like, you know, just streaming regularly. So that's probably something he'll have to start doing if he does get his own place. For now, he can only stream, like, you know, at irregular intervals. But yeah, that is something he does need to take into consideration. He's gonna have to like stream at a considerable like regular like frequency rate if he's gonna want to build up a considerable audience. And like, I'm sorry if this sounds discouraging, but it can take up like, you know, at least a few years to grow a considerable audience. Ethan, you know, Purple Ethan, like he thinks if he puts a link on to his Twitch stream on YouTube that he's going to get a whole bunch of viewers. No, that's not necessarily true because now he does have a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube, but even then, like, not a lot of people may see like the link he posts, or they may not like see the link in time. Like they'll see the link, but by the time they do see it, he's already done streaming. That's another thing too, is like a lot of the times he'll only stream for very short periods of time. So yeah, that's another thing. My dad actually wants to stream a lot more when he retires. I just hope he doesn't get the same discouragement as Purple Ethan. Nice. Oh yeah. We also had a pretty good conversation today on our way back from New Mexico. And that, you know, it made me feel relieved because what it was about was, you know, my dad talked about how, but you know, this isn't until way later on down the road, like another like decade or two even, like, but my dad may live separately from my brother and I. And then, you know, we like, and then my brother and I, we may live like in, you know, in this house that we're in now. Because, you know, my dad wants to get a dog. Like in the future, but, you know, I I don't like dogs. Like I'm uncomfortable around like most dogs, and I really just want to be pet free. You know, but you know, if my dad like waits to get a dog until like, you know, he's living separately from my brother and I, you know, I would be 100% fine with it, cuz, you know, I'll still go over like to his house, you know, his future house when we're like to swim, cuz he'll probably have a pool. He plans on having a pool. and then and then he'll cook lunch and whatnot on certain weekends. My brother and I comes over, and yeah, if I'm just going over there and maybe spending the night, that's fine. I don't mind that. I just don't want a dog to actually live with a dog. And that's what I've been doing on and off, unfortunately, for the past couple of years. We don't have a dog on our own, but my grandmother actually drops hers off over here all the time. Now, this was the first time since that started where we actually all went on vacation at the same time together. So my grandma actually had to look into another dog sitter. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I feel like they're still going to rely on us to deal with him. If it's just my grandma and Tom going on vacation, or Pops, but it was satisfying to know that they had to find another alternative. They couldn't rely on us this time because we were also going on vacation with them. And yeah, hopefully if me and my brother are living together, just him and I'm hoping he won't get a dog of his own. Thankfully, it's looking like he won't, because first of all, even my dad said this, but our house is not really optimized to have a dog at least full time. Sorry. Because, as I mentioned earlier on, we have the sunroom and the screen, and that would just make having a dog a bigger pain, but and then even my brother has stated he loves dogs, but he doesn't want to have a dog that he'll have to take care of on his own. Because I mean, I don't mean to sound selfish, but oh, seriously, Ashton. If I have to live with a dog, I'm not dealing with it. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna deal with some take take care of something I didn't even want in my living space to begin with. That's just not gonna happen. I wouldn't harm the dog, but I'm not gonna take care of it or have any responsibility. So, hopefully, my brother won't get a dog. He'll just play with the one my dad gets in the future. Ideally, I think my dad and my brother should live together, and then I can over at what my dad's future house. And then I can just live here on my own. That way my brother can be with the dog, and if he wants to bring his crazy friends over, I won't have to get mixed in the mess. So yeah, I think that would be ideal. But for now, I'll definitely take my, living with my brother. Cuz I do love my dad, but if he's going to get a dog, I would rather it be separate from where I live. So, and if he does, then I'm completely okay with him getting a dog. I just don't want to have to live with it. So yeah, I'm hoping that's what happens later on in the future. I just hope my dad does wait to get a dog until after, he's living separately from us. Because every time my dad like brings up having a dog, it just stresses me out. But if I'm not even gonna be living with him, then like I have no reason to stress about it anymore. But yeah, I think I'm running out of like stuff to talk about. I'm probably gonna end off the episode after we defeat this imp. And the slime balls too. You know what I mean? This entire fight or battle. There we go. All right. That will do it for this episode. Thank you guys for sticking with me and letting me talk about various topics. I will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.